Beautiful. Okay, we're recording. Lovely, lovely. Okay. So let's sit comfortably as we begin our yin class, usually on a blanket or something to make ourselves a little bit more comfortable. Let's close our eyes today. And just take some really nice breaths, maybe even exhaling through the mouth a little bit if you need to. Finding a really nice centered grounding practice. So letting the energy move down into our lower body. Sit bones are grounded. Breath soft and relaxed. Let's take a moment and bring our hands to our heart. We'll start with one Om today. If you'd like to join in, take a deep breath. Reciting our intention for our practice today. May I be free from fear and harm. May I be content as I am. May I be at peace with whatever comes. And keep one hand in the center of the chest and move the other hand down to the navel. Just begin to notice our breath here. We'll change it in a little bit to do some breath work, but just notice breath underneath each of your hands. See how it feels in your body. Maybe you're noticing some tightness as the breath moves and you get more settled. We're going to pay some mindful attention to the counting of the breath today. So as we inhale, we're going to inhale to the count of 5. Hold the breath for 2 counts, and then exhale to the count of 5. So just do that on your own, noticing that each time you count, maybe you can go a little bit slower and hold that 2 count breath a little bit longer. And a nice long exhale. Let's just release the hands, return to a normal breath. Notice the way you have your legs. I'm going to switch them so whatever leg is in front is now a little bit behind. And then we can just fold forward. So we're going to release our low back. So we're just going to fold forward, and if you need to place a bolster or a block underneath your head, otherwise if the head can come down, bring your head all the way to your hands or to the floor. We'll just do a quick little forward fold. I'm going to stretch the legs this way, and then we'll switch in a minute and we'll do the legs in the other way. So take this time to breathe into the lower diaphragm. Take the time to breathe into the lower back. And see if you can feel that expansion. Without a lot of movement, we're just going to switch the leg. So whatever leg is in front is now in back. And then come back down into the pose again for another couple of minutes. This should make you feel a little bit different in the outer hips. So breathe deeply into that low belly and the low back. Make sure the sit bones are grounded. Relax the face again and just feel that beautiful pull of gravity. Taking a nice slow inhale, let's walk back up. It's going to release the legs for a moment. Make sure our ankles and knees feel comfortable. So we've done this pose before. I'm just going to take my bolster. I'm going to lay over the bolster in Baddha Konasana. But some of you, if you don't want so much of a back bend, could put a block underneath this bolster a little bit to give it a little bit of height. If you don't need to have the block, you can just bring that bolster up against the low back. Notice that the feet are together, knees are wide, and I'm just going to place the blanket underneath my head. If I don't, my neck gets too much of a back bend. But you could also place this blanket underneath your back, along the spine, or you can even place it underneath the bolster if you don't have a block and you want a little bit more lift. So because this is always a pose we can stay in a little bit longer, I'm going to suggest that if your knees are not coming almost to the floor, that you can put some blocks or some pillows underneath the knees for support. And let's just begin also to open the shoulders a little bit. So I'm going to take the arms out to the sides. Let the palms turn up so that those shoulders are releasing. Beautiful. So once the eyes are closed, we feel supported there on our spine. Let's go back to this breath that we began today. It's a good time to do it. It's easy to just remember 5 count inhale, 2 count hold, 5 count exhale, but you can change it up to whatever feels appropriate for you. And I'm working on that today. I just want to begin as we approach the fall season into finding a little bit more pranayama in our day. Maybe this will help remind you to add it into your practice. So once your body has found the pose, add that breath in. Mindful counting, mindful releasing. You're still working on the counting of the breath. Just let the breath return to just a normal state. Feels comfortable. This is one of those long holds in yin that sometimes we feel really tight in inner groin muscles, especially if we're sitting all day. So let's just take about 3 to 5 more breaths in this pose. And then just be very mindful of bringing the legs together and maybe releasing them out in front of you for just a few moments. That is certainly a pose that if you feel comfortable in, you can stay in for a pretty good long time. It's beautiful for the upper back as well. So go ahead and roll to one side. You can just leave the legs stretched out in front as you come up to a nice comfortable seat. I'm going to put my blanket underneath me again to give myself a little lift. Just relax the legs however you'd like. I'm going to take just a moment to work on those shoulders for a few minutes here. So when you come up and you extend the legs out in front, just find a nice little seat there. You can also put a blanket underneath your knees if that feels better for you today as well. Let's get a little shoulder work in. So I'm going to take that right arm and bring it underneath. So I wrap the arms around like the eagle pose. Bringing my thumbs towards my nose, relaxing my shoulders. Take a few moments and notice if the shoulders are relaxed. From here, if you need a little bit more, there's a couple of options. One, you can just let the hands, you can pull them away from the face. Maybe that's enough for you today. For me, I need to take it a little further, so I'm going to round into my upper back. So the chin is going to tuck in towards the chest. I'm going to really round into the upper back. Bring all that breath up there as I come forward a little bit. And maybe even if you're not as tight, you can even come almost so the arms are touching the legs. Maybe, maybe not. But bring that focus way up into the upper back. Let the chin really tuck in towards the chest so that you get a good stretch there. And then really breathe down deep also into the belly. So we're softening the belly, rounding a little even more into the upper back perhaps. Good. See if we can stay here for just a little bit. See where the breath is, where it can move. So drawing energy from the belly, slowly rise up. Let the arms release at your sides for a moment before we go to the other side. Sometimes we lose a little circulation in our fingers if we're really working that pose pretty good. So when you're ready to take the arms, bring the left arm underneath and wrap it around. So you're on the other side. And same thing. And just notice today if what you're doing with the jaw. So as you exhale and find the pose on this side, and you bring that awareness up first into the upper back and you tuck the chin. Maybe release the arms a little bit towards the legs or round a little bit deeper. Are we relaxing our throat, relaxing our tongue? Find that really nice long exhalation. Let it feel that exhalation all the way from the crown of the head through the back of the head, the back of the neck, upper back, middle back. Can you bring that breath all the way into the belly and soften the belly? Take a nice deep breath in. Slowly rise up. As you rise up, we'll release those arms. And let's place those hands behind us, fingertips to the earth, and just lift the chest a little bit. It can be in pretty intense pose for the shoulders and upper back. So all right. I'm sure you're familiar with pigeon pose. We do it all the time. It's one of the best poses to do if you're sitting a lot. So let's start with the right side, okay? So if you want, you can do a little bit of your cat-cow first if it feels good, just to stretch the spine, especially after that last pose. We'll just take 30 seconds or so here if you want. All right, so as we move into pigeon, we'll do the right side first. So I'm just going to take that right knee forward. Flex that front foot as much as you can as we walk back into our pose. We want to sink into that right hip. Hopefully taking the left hip forward. If not, it can just kind of sink down there. You may want to place your head on a blanket or something that feels good. Block is fine, whatever works. If you don't need any of that, you can just bring your head all the way to the floor. So because this is also a pretty intense pose, this is more intense for the lower body than the upper body. You want to relax the head and keep the neck relaxed. And the mind also relaxed in this pose, very reminiscent of child's pose, where how the head is. So it's a good relaxing place for our anxious mind to let go. Good, so take a few moments, get settled in. Sometimes it's a little challenging for this pose. And can we bring that breath again way down deep into the lower diaphragm? So we're really softening, trying to soften the hips as much as you can right in this pose. Beautiful. Find the stillness of the pose. Let's sink into it together. As you come out of this pose, stick your hands underneath the shoulders as we lift the upper body. And you can just come right into hands and knees for just a few moments of your cat-cow before we go to the other side if you'd like. All right, as you get ready, we'll try that left side. And if this is a more challenging side, use whatever props you need to make yourself comfortable. You can put bolsters underneath the chest, blankets underneath that butt, anything underneath your head. And adjusting this front foot too, so it doesn't have to be at 90 degrees. Most of you probably don't have this front leg at 90 degrees. It can be closer in towards the inner groin for an easier pose, especially if you're here for a while. Good, nice. A little easier to settle in on the second side. So let's breathe together. If you're still holding some tension in the mind, maybe giving yourself permission to not think, just relax, breathe, soften. Feel the support of the earth underneath you. Let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders as we lift the torso. And we'll just slide both legs forward. Beautiful. So just want to get in one more twist today. So I'm going to make it a real easy one, and you can add a little bit more if you want to. So we'll just bring the knees in towards the chest. I like to gently rock from side to side just to make sure the lower back feels comfortable. And we'll just simply drop the knees down to the right. Now from here, you can take those arms out in a nice T position. I always recommend palms up so that we can really release those shoulders. Now, for some of you who this pose is just really easy and we're not even getting any kind of stretch on the side of our body or in our hips or anything, you can add a little bit more if you want to by intertwining the legs. So you could take the right leg over and intertwine them and then come into the pose. That's fine too. You also may want to go a little bit deeper into the hamstrings and take that top leg, and you can stretch the top leg out if you wish. Now I can't comfortably grab onto my foot to hold it. I can grab onto the ankle to hold it, but you don't have to hold anything. You can just let the leg be a little straighter, and it may feel that you can get a deeper stretch through the outer glute. So all kinds of different options. Let's find where the option that works for us. I'm going to also turn my head today, so I'm going to turn it towards my knees, but you could do the opposite and turn your head the opposite way of the knees, whatever works for you. So let's take a deep breath into that side body. Noticing how we feel on that left side body. So taking a nice deep breath in, it's important to come out of the pose nice and slow. We'll come back to our center. Draw the knees in towards the chest and check in with the lower back. And then when you're ready, you can work on that pose, that same pose that you did on one side. Let's do the same pose on the other. So checking in. How much of a twist do we want on this side today? Check in with the shoulders as you open the arms if possible. And where do we want our head today? So maximum stretch. This top side body. Maybe even through the glute. Maybe even in through the quadricep. Maybe even through the chest and the top of the shoulder. What happens if we center the breath in the center of the chest on this side today? Take your time, slowly unwinding. We're ready for our final relaxation. So take a moment, draw the knees in towards the chest. If you need any props for your final relaxation, blanket underneath the head or knees, or blanket over you, please feel free to take the time to do that. For those of you who haven't taken a yin class before, yin always recommends that we stretch out in a big letter X to fully let our body absorb the benefits of our yin practice. Wherever you decide to rest for these final moments of class, keep your eyes closed. Before we move into silence, just scan the body. Are there places that we're still noticing some glitches, some tightness, some uncomfortable spots? Is it possible to bring your breath into those spots? Just remind your body to release, to find peace, let go. Yet gradually return our awareness back into the room. Place one hand in the center of the chest, one hand on the navel. So we first check in with the hand on the navel, remembering this. It's the seat of our power, breathing into this space. Feeling your low back grounding into the earth. Feeling the release of our hips, our legs, our feet. We are stable, we are strong. Noticing the movement underneath our hand at the center of the chest. Anahata Chakra, heart center. We are love, we are healing. We are compassion. We are empathy. We are loved. Nice, beautiful long breath out. Feeling the power of our practice. Allow yourself to gently roll to the side for a moment. As we come back to a comfortable seat, bringing our hands to the heart is how we began class today. Gratitude for just showing up on our mats today. Gratitude for the working Zoom practice. Gratitude for our energy, our safe space, our healing, and our health. Let us chant a final Om together. Deep breath in. Om. May you go forward with peace and love. Namaste.